What's going on, everyone? So a couple weeks ago now, did a video on Herb Jones. He's a guy I really wanted to see the Lakers target this upcoming offseason. He was a guy that I think would just be ideal on this Lakers team, slot alongside Luka and LeBron James, right? Obviously, Lakers need a center, right? Obviously, that's a priority, but you also need 3-and-D wings, and you also need sizable, versatile defenders, and Herb Jones is one of the better in the league in that regard. Still young enough to be a foundation piece and a building block, slot alongside Luka for the next, 8 years or whatever, right? Like, he would be an ideal scenario in trade. Well, we got reports from, that the New Orleans Pelicans essentially have everyone available for trade, that no one is untouchable on the Pelicans. Now, that doesn't mean that they're just giving guys away. That doesn't mean that, they're just going to like, oh, hey, you get a guy and you get a guy and you get a guy, right? There are several guys on the New Orleans Pelicans that make a ton of sense for the Lakers. Definitely going to talk about several of them. But in this video in particular, I want to talk about Herb Jones because he's a guy that I think would probably be one of the easier guys to get. I think it really depends on what are the Pelicans looking for, right? Do they basically want to just trade everyone that's under 20 or over 25 and just hit a full rebuild and just have all these young guys and build around Messi, who was a rookie? Or do they want to, kind of retool this thing? Do they want a bunch of assets? Like, what are they looking for? How do they want to approach this, right? That, to me, is kind of where I'm at in that regard. But Herb Jones is a guy, 26 years old. He'll be 27 to start next season, right? So, again, he's young enough to be a foundation piece, but he's also old enough to kind of justify if the Pelicans were to kind of hit the reset button a little bit here and kind of retool this thing and maybe try to go a little younger, whatnot, to trade him, right? Because he's not a guy that's, 23, 24 years old. Where I look at a guy like a Trey Murphy, he's 24, right? There's justification like, hey, we should keep him because, he's still young enough to where we keep him for 10 years. Where Herb Jones you'd have for, maybe 7, right? Like, so, again, depends on what direction they want to go to. But Herb Jones, again, is ideal. We're talking about a 6'7", 6'8", versatile wing that can defend pretty much every position on the basketball court, 1 through 5. He's not an elite or great three-point shooter. He's kind of had his ups and downs. He can be a little streaky at times. But also it's very different when you're on a team with the Pelicans who, one, didn't have a real playmaker for years, and then finally got a playmaker in DeJounte Murray, and he ends up tearing his Achilles, right? So, it's another thing when you're slotted alongside Luka Doncic and LeBron James, who are just getting you just wide open looks all game. But he's also a guy that can help with the rebounding, that can help with the defense, right? Guy you can slot in essentially 2 through 4, right? Wherever you want on the basketball court. And again, just a guy that can be a piece for the long haul. It's not like a temporary fix or a guy that it's like, no, this is a guy that can come in and really kind of fill a gap for you and be just a quality piece, right? He's also cheap enough to where you could acquire him without having to sell the farm. That's the other big thing, right? So he's making next season $13.9 million and then just under $15 million, right? So, you could swap Austin Reeves for him. A couple things about that. One, I would do that in a heartbeat. I know there's going to be some Reeves fans that would go, absolutely not, no way, right? Yes, you can argue Austin Reeves is better, right? But again, better doesn't always mean best for the team, right? Like, again, if it was as simple as putting names on the back of the jerseys, then the Phoenix Suns would be getting ready to win their second championship in a row. But we've seen it doesn't work that way. As Laker fans, we should know that. How many teams have we had over the years that just on paper looked insane and just didn't work out, right? You need the complementary pieces around Luka Doncic and LeBron James, right? However, I will say that I don't think the Lakers would trade Austin Reeves for Herb Jones, like not straight up. I think they'd need other pieces. Maybe if they could get Herb Jones and like a Messi, right? Maybe you could work something like that out. Maybe, giving up Reeves and Connect for a Messi and a Herb Jones. Again, that's something else I would do in a heartbeat, right? Because now you got like your franchise center and you got a legit 3-and-D wing. But I digress. Point is with Herb Jones, he gives you that just, again, sizable, versatile defender that you can slot in wherever you want, right? If you keep Austin Reeves, you can slot him alongside Austin Reeves. If you get rid of Austin Reeves and trade him, right, ideally get another point of attack guy. Love to have that. You can get Herb Jones straight up, or you can get him in a package, right? I wouldn't hate even if you got like a Herb Jones and a Bruce Brown and like a sign and trade type deal. Honestly, you could start those two and then go, even if you just signed a Clint Capella or something like that, or depending on what you gave up for, a Herb Jones and a sign and trade for, a Bruce Brown, could you go get, could you still go trade for a center? And then literally you could slot those three guys alongside Luka and LeBron and just be set and ready to go. But Herb Jones, again, he's coming off of injury, right? So he's definitely going to need to kind of prove himself a little bit. But like I said, he's cheap enough. I don't think you'd have to sell the farm to go get him, nor should you have to sell the farm to go get him. I definitely think that there's going to be some competition for Herb Jones because, again, every team in the league wants versatile wings. Every team in the league wants 3-and-D guys. Every team in the league is looking for guys like a Herb Jones. But if you're the Lakers, can you kind of swoop in and maybe get that done, especially maybe while everyone's kind of distracted with the Giannis and Kevin Durant trades and stuff? Can you maybe kind of sneak through the back door and land yourself a Herb Jones? Also, I think it depends on where would Herb Jones want to go to, because he's going to need a new extension soon. So he's going to kind of have some say. I mean, he's not have another year, so but he's not like a superstar to where teams will be like, we'll take a flyer on him and maybe he won't leave, right? Like teams aren't going to want to pony up if he's not going to want to sign an extension there. So maybe you can kind of use that as leverage, and Lakers kind of like, hey man, let's bring him. He wants to sign an extension with us. He doesn't want to sign an extension with you. So do you really want to lose him in a year, right? Like that could kind of play into the Lakers' hands a little bit, but anyway, diving into Herb Jones and what he could provide, right? Getting ideal scenario, in my opinion. One of the ideal guys that I'd love to have. But this past season, 32.4 minutes per game, only 20 games played. Again, had a bad year. But you look at the previous years. He played 76 games, 66 games, 78 games. So he's a guy that's played. He's a guy that's giving you, basically 75 games a season on average, right? So that's valuable. Right? Like, again, the best ability is availability. You want a guy that's going to be able to play game in and game out, night in and night out. Obviously, he suffered injuries, but so did everybody on the Pelicans. Like literally the entire roster got decimated with injuries. So hopefully last year was more of an outlier for him than, hopefully the new norm, right? Hopefully he's a guy that is able to bounce back and get right. But he shot 43.6% from the floor, which is his worst shooting percentage of his career, by the way. 8.6 attempts, which is the most attempts of his career. 3-point shooting, again, worst of his career at 30.6%. Now, if you look at the previous year on 3.6 attempts, which is the exact same amount of attempts, he shot 42%, and he shot 50% from field goal range. So can he get back to that? He is a career 36.6%, so basically a career 37% three-point shooter. If he can be around there, that's fine, right? If he can be around 37%, in a perfect world, can he get to 42%? Again, very different when you're slotted in, particularly this past season. Again, didn't have a playmaker, didn't have anyone slotted alongside him to do the things that you need to do, right? Very different when you basically are kind of creating for yourself, and then you have LeBron and Luka setting you up and kicking it out to you, and you're just getting wide open looks all game. Like literally wide open looks. It's a very big difference. But I digress. Point is, 30.6%, 53% from 2-point range, which again is the worst of his career at 5 attempts per game. EFG of 50%, which again, worst of his career. Free throw shooting, 82.5%, which is the second worst of his career on 2 attempts. Not that 82.5% is bad percentage, but still just something to kind of keep in mind. 4 rebounds per game. He's a career just under 4, 3.8. So 4 rebounds, 3.3 assists, 2 steals, half a block, and 10.3 points per game. So again, a guy that again can be versatile, slot in at the 2, slot in at the 3, slot in at the 4, and just give you that defensive versatility. I do expect his 3-point shooting to go up. I don't think he's going to shoot 30.1. I mean, that was his worst shooting season by a good margin, right? His second worst shooting season, he shot just under 34%, right? So basically 4% worse this past year. Again, he also played 20 games, was in and out of injury. So how much of it was just he couldn't really find a rhythm? How much of it, again, was just he had to self-create and do all this other stuff because they just didn't have the pieces around him to set him up and play make? Again, it's very different when you have Luka and LeBron James just getting you wide open looks, and you have all day to, fix yourself a sandwich, make a couple phone calls, check some emails, get a grub, right? Like, and then just shoot your three. I mean, even Dorian Finney-Smith talked about how, like, man, like we had to make an adjustment because we were just realized, like, we're wide open, right? Like, get a guy like a Herb Jones. I'm not saying he has to shoot 40, 42% or anything like that. If he can just be 37, 38%, that's great, because he's going to give you the defensive versatility. He's going to be able to continue to be a swing man, might make plays for himself, make plays for others, a guy that can self-create a little bit, right? Play some defense, get you a couple steals, right? Get you a block. He's a guy that is incredibly versatile, particularly on the defense side, and is everything this Lakers team needs. If I'm the Lakers, I am pushing hard to go get Herb Jones. I am on the phone having that conversation, and hopefully it's something you're able to pull off, because, man, Herb Jones would be just ideal for the Lakers. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.